So before I actually get into my video, I would just like to say that Eddie Burback just made an entire video about commercials, classic commercials, when it works, when it doesn't, it's great. So you should definitely go check it out. Now this video about advertisements today is actually not at all my intention. I've been working on a video for the better half of a week. It's just taking me a lot longer than I thought it was going to actually get it the way that I want it. So I figured it'd take a little bit longer to actually finish that one the way that I want it, because it's one of my favorite things to talk about. So I want it to come out well. And last night I ended up seeing this ad shared on Twitter by Bara Godzilla that has been sweeping around quite quickly. A lot of people are really into it. I thought it was one of the funniest things I've ever seen, and people seem to express interest in me talking about it. So I figured, why not? We can get an upload out, and then I don't have to feel bad about myself. And I do mean it is one of the most hilarious things I've ever seen. Again, I'm sure a lot of you have seen it at this point, especially if you follow me on Twitter. If you don't and you have Twitter, you should. It's Amanda the Jedi. So is my Instagram. You should do it there too. But if you haven't seen this commercial, as we're watching this, try and take a guess what kind of product this commercial is advertising and trying to sell to people. So it's talking about how women make up less than 10% of invention patents, and thankfully young girls don't know that, and it seems like it's something that's going to be advertising the importance of encouraging girls into STEM careers or something of the matter, because they traditionally take up lower percentage. Thankfully those numbers have been going up. Still a good thing to encourage. The girls are talking about the importance of inventing and why they do the things they do, and how what they're making could help change the world, and how they want to make things that help change the world.
A lot of times when people think about our worlds, you think that all the knowledge has already been acquired, or how can you further it? But that's when inventors come into play. They constantly push the boundaries of what we think is possible.
I'm working on an invention that detects the amount of harmful dyes in soft drinks and sweets.
And my invention helps detect lead in drinking water.
And I'm working on an invention to detect sinkholes before they collapse.
So it's talking about all these cool inventions that people are making, and I'm thinking maybe something technology related, maybe some kind of like STEM camp. But then it gets to the end, and it's Mrs. Monopoly.
Miss Monopoly.
Because I exclusively need my board games to pander to me. Too long have women been excluded from Monopoly. Or so this commercial might make it seem initially. Obviously, it continues on from where it left off on Twitter. Though one of my friends did so kindly point out that, Monopoly has never excluded women, because the thimble has been a prominent piece for the entirety of its existence.
In every Monopoly box, there's $20,580 in Monopoly money. Part of the fun is wishing it was real. This time for you, it is
$20,580 in real money. Use this to help bring this invention or any future invention to life.
So at first glance, it does look like it's just Monopoly branded with a female, but it is more than that, and also worse than that. The game actually has a completely different set of rules, some that are cool, some not so much. Like, instead of buying property, you're actually investing in different creations by women. And that's pretty cool. You get to learn the origin about some stuff that maybe you encounter on a day-to-day basis that you might not have realized was created by a female. That's pretty cool. But on the other hand, the game has different rules for male and female players. So when the game starts, female players get $1,900 and they get $240 every time they pass go, compared to male players who get the traditional $1,500 to start and $200 every time you pass go. Because I always found that the best way to address the wage gap is to include a wage gap going in the other direction in a board game traditionally linked to family feuds. Also, imagine families with one girl and one boy for a child and how that's gonna go. Like, do you think it's gonna be like, well, Timmy, you get less money because historically women have been paid less for doing the same kind of work as men? Or do you think it's gonna turn into something like this where the daughter's like, ha, you suck, Timmy. Take your broke ass around, go so you can try and catch up. And then little Timmy's obviously gonna be like, well, the only reason why you're winning is because you got more to start off than me, poohead. Do kids still call other kids pooheads? I don't know. Like, Monopoly was literally already even. Everyone starts with the same amount of money in the same spot. What are you doing? This is really more like, here's your unfair advantage to learn about how uncool unfair advantages are. I also don't see how this would necessarily encourage women to become inventors or anything. If anything, it would encourage women to become investors, which That's great too. Get your coin. But this isn't actually doing anything to encourage girls to make things or go into career options in that direction. I don't know, maybe in some roundabout way. But yeah, invent stuff. I used to try to make things all the time as a kid, and it was really cool to have that encouraged. So if you have kids that like trying to invent things and make things that are interested in like robots and stuff, like encourage that. There's so many cool things out there now that are like so much more cheaper than like I could have ever conceived when I was a kid, that teach kids how to like make robots or build different things or show you how different science things work. That's just way more complex than the stuff that I had as a kid. So like there's so many cool things out there that you can use to encourage your children. That's not a bad thing. I'm gonna just say that this game's not necessarily doing that for me. Because at least for the people in this commercial, Hasbro shelled out over $20,000 to each one of them to either build their inventions, further their inventions, or maybe further their education so that they could develop these more in later life. Again, that doesn't translate into the game itself because as far as I can tell, there's no proceeds being donated anywhere. Like maybe if a proceed of every sale went to some kind of STEM-related areas for people at a young age, then I could see how it's actually helping people in this field. I'm not saying companies have to donate or anything, but like if you're gonna pander to me, you can go the extra mile. Now apparently this board game already had its original run of criticism back in September when it was announced, but I and many others apparently just missed that wave completely and only realized it was a thing when it was brought to our attention on Twitter. So this backlash at the time was actually preceded by some controversy around Monopoly Socialism Edition, both because of the fact that they decided to make Monopoly Socialism Edition and because someone was like, this is a really inaccurate telling of the history of socialism. And then my personal favorite, Monopoly Millennium, where you can't buy real estate because you can't afford it anyways. Only avocado toast and veganism for my generation. It's just like a series of parodies, but they're all real. Like I had Star Wars Monopoly when I was younger, but things are just getting way out of hand.
We've got Star Wars Monopoly, Rasta Monopoly, Gallipolopoly, Edna Krabopoly.
It's also very interesting to me that the history of Monopoly is an extremely messy one. The version of Monopoly that we play now was adapted by a game called The Landlord's Game that was invented by someone named Elizabeth Maggie. And there's a bunch of drama there in terms of like patents, how much she was paid out in royalties, how much of a mess the whole situation was. And that is just all excluded from this game. You think that the game might take the time to shine a spotlight on the person who is likely the reason the game you're playing even exists, but guess Hasbro didn't think so. Now, ads that have nothing to do with products or that are trying to manipulate you in some way are extremely common. Sometimes they're done well, sometimes they're done horrifically, and even with the bad ones, sometimes I'll tear up. Like, I know exactly what they're doing, but I'm like, you're painting this emotional tale, but it's not working. I'm not buying your product. Like, take this Brazilian commercial, so kindly shared with me by Jordan Tyler on Twitter after I drew attention to that Monopoly commercial, and let's all try to guess what it's for. So it shows a little boy growing up, birthday cakes, playing guitar with his parents, learning to walk, being scared of storms, running, playing, learning to shave, first loves, losing that first love, the anger that comes with it, becoming an edgy teenager, traveling the world until it finally gets to this quote. Every day, life is gonna ask you the same question. What are you gonna try today? So what are your guesses? Put them down below. Put them down below. I'm gonna wait a second. I just really want to know what you think it might be. A lot of you probably already know what the commercial is and I'm just like really late, but whatever. Put it down below. Here's the clip.
What are you gonna try today?
Get the fuck out of here, Subway. Yeah, you know what I'm gonna try today? Making my own goddamn sandwiches because all of your meat and produce suck. They suck. You've got bread and that's it. Once I figure that out, it's over. And who can forget the McDonald's commercial where the kid lost his dad, starts asking the mom, like, what was dad like? Until he gets progressively more upset when he realizes that he really has nothing in common with his father until they get to McDonald's and the mom's like, that was your dad's order too?
Tartar sauce. All down his chin.
Tartar sauce all down his face? Stop. Like, there is a fine line and you can tread it well and make people emotionally connect to your products even though they know you're trying to sell something. And I don't mind that you're selling me a product if you do it well. These ain't it. I don't know, long story short, advertisements can be weird. Who would have guessed it? But I guess the main takeaway here is don't pander to your audiences so hard that you end up doing the same thing you're trying to speak out against. So that's gonna do it for today's video. Thank you you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If so, feel free to leave a like on the video if you're into that. If you're new to the channel, feel free to subscribe. Thank you as always to my Patreon supporters and anybody else who just takes the time to watch these videos. I hope you're all having a fantastic day, and we'll catch you all later.